Hi, Denise Ramon. How are you doing?
Hi, doing well. How about you?
Really good. By the way, your hair is beautiful today.
Oh, thank you.
It's very
It's
nice.
it's gray.
I like it. I
It's
love you in gray. Oh
I'm
my God. I can't wait till I'm all gray. I'm just here and here, so
oh
don't
no, I've
like
been solid
Pepe
for
Le Pew's girlfriend, the one with the two,
yeah.
or Elmira or Elvira or whatever. So I'll stop. Okay. We're going to talk about with my love, Erik, the Great Reset, which I have never heard of until somebody wanted to do this session. And, Paula collected a bunch of, I'm sure, great questions from the community. So, Erik, I love you.
He says, I love you, Mom. And and he always comes to me because he's like bright yellow, like the sun. He's just
Oh, that's a happy
that's
color.
that's his energy. It's almost like he's holding the sun in front of him. That's how he is right now.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh.
All right. So the first question is, we have 3 pages, so hopefully these are kind of short. Is the Great Reset meant to benefit humanity, or is it going to go against us, basically? First of all, Erik, what is it for most people? What is the Great Reset?
Erik says the Great Reset is different for different people, but he says, he goes, let's break it down into 3 categories. For some, it's like people feel like it's going to be very detrimental to us. It's not going to be a good thing. And then he says, but then you have, and he's showing me that's a small part, but then you have another larger section that feels that it's a good thing. And he says, and that's a good place to be with it. And then you have some others who are in fear of it and aren't real sure which way to go with it. They want to believe it's good, but yet their
Yeah.
ego or whatever, or what they're listening to tells them not to trust and all of that. So that's what he's telling me what it means for people.
Is it mostly like economic redistribution? Is it because I'm just looking at just picking the stuff. Is it like taking down the banks, the oligarchy? I mean, I don't know really what it is at all. So what does it mean to most people? Well,
Well, Erik says, go ahead. Sorry.
maybe this will help. What does the reset mean? Into the stock market, a digital currency, into the controlling government, or more? Inflation, real estate, market. I mean,
Well, he says that the reset's not just about finance,
okay,
it's about reset for everything. So he says it's about for humanity, is what it's about. And he said, so this is where some people are not going to be real happy with it because some of their livelihood's going to be taken away because there has to be a balance, but their livelihood is a livelihood based on someone else's misfortune. So
oh,
there's a balance,
yeah.
in what he's saying. But is it about the stock market and finances, the banks and everything? He said yes, it has to do with all of that. He says it's everything with finance, but then some. And he's also showing me that also there's some kind of reset to do with Hollywood and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I don't know what he means by that. And maybe it could be he's showing me movies. So it could be the type of movies they're producing
Oh,
as
okay.
opposed to what they won't be doing and stuff.
Mhm.
But he says but yes, he says there are going to be some changes and how he's showing me like things are going to be kind of like crumbling down.
Okay. I was watching this series on the Curiosity Stream, I think it is, about the Hollywood Titans, like the how Hollywood developed, and the very first actor that became a star, because they were making 25, but now they're making
Right.
millions and all that,
Yeah.
and now they become this huge force to be reckoned with a great deal of influence from a very small sector of the population on the masses. Is that what's going to be torn down, that they're not going to rule, or in some cases brainwash people, or just need to have such great wealth, etc.?
Eric says, yeah, he's telling me, he says, yes, he says, because there's got to be balance in there. Because when you're talking about those people that are making millions and that, he says, it's a small portion of them that make millions. Because
Yeah.
when you watch a movie, it's like maybe just a handful that are making that. But you figure all the other people
Yeah.
that are in it or not in it, or, you know, that we don't see as much that make the movie, they're not making that kind of money.
Yeah.
And
So
so
will it be more egalitarian in Hollywood? Is that what we're talking about?
he says,
Okay.
he says, yes, yes.
More to teachers. What about with sports celebrities? Will there be more of a economic reset there too? And not just, but also how Hollywood stars and sports celebrities are revered. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
above and beyond a lot of people who maybe even do better for the world. So how they are overly idolized will be a reset financially and from the standpoint of idolatry.
Well, he's telling me on like the sports people and that it's he says they're kind of already starting to do that reset themselves because a lot of them, there are some who are not so amazing, you know, is I like how Eckhart Tolle calls it people with heavy overlay.
Oh yeah, right.
So, but Eric is telling me that there's going to be adjustments where he's showing me it's like there's going to be some cleanup in there, some cleanup in those areas, what he's showing me.
What about our politicians who used to just like have a real job back in when our government was first formed, and then they'd go and do their stuff in Congress and they go back and they wouldn't make just a career and make millions and millions of dollars off of being servants of the people. Will there be a reset there too?
Erik says yes, and he said that's going to take some time, but he's also telling me it's almost going to be kind of like people who are on like a home association boards, you know, where they have another job, but they do this because they really believe in it and want to do this for the better of the community. And he says this is almost like kind of like how it's gonna start flowing that way. He said there's definitely going to be some big upheaval and some changes. And this is where he says some people are going to be very upset about it because they like the way it is.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be people who are going to be very pleased with it. And the way he's showing me, it's like I'll be one of those people who will be very pleased with how things will, you know, and it's, you know, he says it can't happen all at once because that would just be too much of a shock.
Absolutely.
So, but we're going to just start seeing things. He says, and it's already starting.
But
right
it does seem like the society is a little bit too top heavy. So few make so much, but don't really change the collective as much for the better as, like, for example, certain teachers do, or you know, certain well, anything. The little people.
My sister-in-law just quit teaching.
A lot of them are. It's a big shortage
quit
now.
teaching. She just had enough. And
Yeah.
but Erik says with that kind of stuff, you know, what it is, it's there's a secret, or there's been something that's been heavily laid on us to think that we can't have these things.
Yeah.
And he says, and this is being revealed to us that we can have these things. We don't have to.
It's an illusion. Yes.
Yeah, we don't have to be in high up politics or high up in Hollywood or high up in be a doctor or a lawyer. And Erik says he goes, but even that's kind of a facade because we think all doctors and lawyers are millionaires. And he goes, and they're not.
No,
they're not.
Really, I mean, they don't make most doctors don't make what people think they make, and they work hard. All right. So what's going to happen to the stock market? Do you think it'll ever end?
He says no, but it's going to be restructured on how it is. Because he says, really, it's a good thing what we got going on with the stock market as far as you save money and put it in here, and we well, you will make money off of this, but it's going to be different to where it's not just a few people getting the billions from us.
Yeah.
Why we lend them our money to invest.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be a little bit different.
I see a
than that.
pattern. I see the pattern. What about digital currency? What will happen with that?
Erik says that's not going away for a long time. He doesn't even. I don't even see a dead end road to that. What he's showing me, he says, people are having a lot of fun with that. It's gained some traction, but there's still some fear in there. So it's not. Anytime you use something new, it takes time to catch on, and people still like that paper money. So he says people want to know, is the paper money going to go away completely? He says no, not in what we think it is, but the digital coin, he says it's really economical for us. It's cleaner. It's environmental. It's even
I think
better.
we should go cash free, because that will eliminate the underground market, the black market, and whole drug stuff, drug money, and
well, he says there are people who we don't even know about who are perfecting all that, so it can't be black marketed or money laundered and all that other stuff. He says, because you have to really know. And he says, we have enough history of how people did things corrupt, so they're like, I guess he showed me, like, they're looking at all these things. And so
Klaus Schwab, is he the main person behind the Great Reset, or is there someone above him, and is he reptilian? Never heard of him.
I never heard of him either.
Klaus Schwab.
I don't get that he's like, no, Erik says no, he is not the main person behind it. He says there's not one main person behind it. He says for the reset, he goes, there's a collective consciousness that's behind that, shifting all of that. And is he a reptilian? Erik is telling me reptilians, there's not all reptilians are bad or nasty or ugly or whatever you want to call them. So there are good ones, and he makes me feel like there are some reptilians hanging around, the not so nice reptilians that are
I hope
that are like informants, like they're in the group and getting information and bringing it back to whoever they talk to.
So they're good. They're
yes.
Get information to stave off disaster. Well, what is Klaus Schwab's, I think he's head of the World Economic Forum or Council. What is his mission in this lifetime?
Well, Erik says he has several, he's showing me how, Erik has shown me he spent many lifetimes on the other side of the fence of what he's on now. So his mission in this life was to kind of balance that to where people didn't have to be on the very povish end of the rope, and and it's almost like he's what do you call it, in conflict with that, because I feel like he's kind of gotten away from why he is where he is, like for the good of what he's doing. But I just don't feel like he's, and Erik says it's also about for him to find self, but sometimes we get distractions, so we don't have to sit with ourselves.
Get off course, because we don't like to sit with ourselves sometimes. Well, this might also help. What is the meaning that underlies his controversial quote, "You will own nothing and you'll be happy"? And will Klaus Schwab lead by example and own nothing?
Erik is telling me with that quote, what he means is that it's almost like there's nothing for you physically to be responsible for.
Okay.
It's like you're not responsible for, and it's like, it's almost like I'm trying to how he's showing me. It's like you have access to all that stuff, but you don't.
I can give you an example. It's like e-bikes, around, and there's this share program. You can use an e-bike to go to the barber shop, then you leave it there, and somebody else will pick it up. To that kind of thing.
Yes, Erik says
Okay.
yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
And will he lead by example and own nothing? Is he on board with that?
Erik says he's going to have to be.
Yeah. Okay.
So I feel like the way he says it's like he's going to be shown how to be that way, and it's like, yeah.
Why are so many leaders easily swayed by the idea of a great reset? I didn't know that they were.
Because Erik says how they're swayed by the great reset and what they're thinking, it's under false security, feeling safe and it's the security.
Okay.
And so you get caught up in that. And he says, everybody does, everybody wants to feel safe.
Yeah.
Financially, economically, we want to feel safe.
Okay. The three aspects of the Great Reset proposed in 2020 as a response to the economic distribution of COVID-19 are green growth, smarter growth, fairer growth. Are there any world leaders who will actually invest in developing countries to promote these goals? That could be just a yes or no, because I got not even.
Erik says there are plenty, but they don't put them on the news.
Oh, okay. Well, when is this going to happen?
Erik says it's happening now. He says it's happening, but it's subtle to what we would call subtle, but it is happening now. And then we're really going to see things shift next year, and it's just going to keep going. And then all of a sudden you have like, boom, this is happening. You go, God, this happened so fast. And Erik says, it didn't happen fast. This has been happening for a while, but so now but now we're really seeing this happening.
Let's see. Why is there a need for the Great Reset? Is it just to, distribute power and choice amongst the masses, more equality, or?
Well, Erik says it's effed up, so something has to.
And I shortened power is in the hands of too few people, I think.
Erik said exactly.
Money too, and that means greed. All right.
Yeah, and we've been lied to for so long. We've been manipulated into believing these certain ways and things and stuff. So this we call it a reset. Some people call it, he's saying some people call it it's the second coming of Jesus. Some people call it, the new earth or whatever, but it has to. And Erik says, we are at a point where we cannot change and go forward in this, he says. And the momentum is too much for us to go backwards now. Good. And that's why we have a lot of chaos or disruption, going on in the world, because the beings of who they are, the higher ups, know that the collective consciousness as a whole, of light, of who the majority of us are with, the awareness that we are, the awake people, has exploded.
Yeah.
And now they're running scared because they know they know there's no going back. So now they're trying drastic things.
Okay. Will this affect retirement monies, 401k, pension, retirement age? Well, okay. Will it affect our nest eggs, and will it make a change to retirement age or benefits?
Erik says it is going to affect all of that, you know, the retirement, you know, and stuff like that, but in a good way.
Okay. What's going to happen
Because
to these old people's, well, the retirement funds and
those retirement funds,
401k funds and all that?
well, the people who are already, you know, experiencing this stuff, like who are in their 70s and 80s and some 90s, that's not going to shift for them. If anything, it's almost going to be like Erik says it will be more balanced for them, to where they're not afraid to go get medicine, go to the doctor's appointments, or buy a new coffee pot or something. You know, they're going to feel more at ease with it. It's how Erik shows me it's going to be legit. It's going to be honest, you know. So we're not there's going to be more eyes on this, so that nobody can take a cut from it and stuff.
Good. More transparency.
Yeah, because he's showing me that it's just going to be better, you know. And of course, this is where fear comes in, and people think, oh, we're not going to have a retirement, we're not going to have this. But Erik says it's going to be made easier for us to retire at a decent age, because he says they keep moving the age.
Well, I mean, but our lifespan has grown too. So will it extend what will the retirement age be extended to? I mean, I know it's different for different sectors, and public versus private, et cetera, unions versus non-unions, but what do you see happening to the retirement age in the near future?
He's showing me that it's almost like there's going to be more freedom of when we can retire, because we're penalized if we retire early and take our money. It's almost like there's going to be more freedom, like okay, so he says, so you want to retire at 62 instead of 67. He says you get to retire at 62, but you're not going to get penalized for the money. It's just that your pay doesn't increase, you know, because this is how much money you're going to get. And I just feel like there's going to be more freedom too, where you can take from your retirement and also invest it in another type of
without being penalized,
right, where you can also have your money working, and like having a second job with your money working for you or something, how he's showing me. But he's telling me it's going to be a lot smoother, is what he's showing me, a lot easier for us, because he says we all worry about retirement.
Of course. So, you know, I think we've answered this question. Are we going to lose or gain freedom? It sounds like we're going to gain, right?
We're going to gain freedom, but Erik says this goes again to how you view this. Some of us are
maybe not the big oligarchs and the corrupt, you know.
That's Erik says they're going to feel like they're being choked.
Yeah, good. Okay. What's going to happen to taxes? Will taxes be elevated to extreme amounts for anybody?
He says they might go up a little bit, but that's going to also get cracked on too, because that is out of hand, the taxes. The taxes, he's
spending. Ooh, what's going to happen to government spending? That's tax and spend thing. It's just out of control.
He says that's a facade, the taxes, to allow other people to have a lot of fun, is what he's saying.
Yeah, pork belly stuff, pork barrel stuff.
Yeah, and that is going to shift and stuff, you know. But he says, and then that too will also affect handouts.
Yeah.
And that, he says, some people aren't going to like that because they're not going to have handouts like they used to. But he says, but that's crippling people.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah, it's enslaving. Everybody wants to really deep inside, I think, wants to contribute to society and be productive in some way. So
absolutely. And I would love not to pay so much in taxes.
Yeah, me too. How can we as a whole benefit from this great reset?
How can we all benefit? Eric says,
I guess as a
as
collective.
a whole, he says, Eric says, because there's going to be a new, well, there's definitely a new freedom, but what he says is everybody's going to start learning how to think for themselves
Oh,
and realizing that we don't say, well, what is governor here or senate or president think?
yeah.
It's all about what's going on in here, you
The
know.
power comes back to the individual.
Yes, and
Family?
Eric says this
Okay.
is what part of what that Roe versus Wade was about, was to let people know that their voice still matters and it has momentum.
Yeah, it's more proximal to the individual instead of distal out in DC, so that
Yeah, yes.
people can vote for whoever's going to honor what they want, whether it's pro-choice or pro-life. I agree. Are the 13 family dynasties controlling the Great Reset, or has it been shifted to corporations like Blackwater, Academy, and Vanguard? Blackwater, 13 family dynasties. That's probably Rockefeller, some maybe some Chinese dynasties, etc.
Yeah, he's showing me it's like different continents,
Okay.
people and stuff like that. You know, Eric says, they're not going to be able to have their fingers in everything like they do.
Okay. Is it shifting to corporations like Blackwater and Vanguard? This Great Reset? Or is it shifting to something else? Some other entities?
Eric says it's shifting. It's not just going to 2 places or
Okay.
10 places, because he says there's a balance. Because the way he's shown me, it's all going to flow. And he says, you know, like some people may have some of it for a little bit, but then it's going to go on to some other people. And
Oh.
it's not going to just be sitting with one. And the way he's showing me, it's almost like we're going to get the experience of what one person has and then bring it to another experience and get their input
I
in
like
it.
that.
And that, you know, we're not going to just say Denise is the only one that knows what to do with this.
Yeah, good.
There are many other people that can help with this.
Excellent.
And
Like
Eric
a hot potato.
Yeah, and Eric says, you know, having a fresh set of eyes on things.
Yes, I like that. Will will teachers be paid better? Higher salaries?
I don't, Eric and show me they're going to get paid high salaries, you know, like 100,000 or more down the road. But there's going to be a shift in, he shows me like there is going to be a shift in pay, but there's going to be a shift in the education system, which it's already starting and it has started.
Yes. Yeah.
There's going to be a shift in, I feel like their retirement, something like that, because they're going to have to make it more appealing for teachers to come work.
Yeah, of course.
But I also feel like there's something really good. Eric makes me feel fun. Something really good coming to the education system, to where all the teachers and everybody benefit, not the higher ups,
Not the administrators, yeah, the
right,
administration.
but
The teachers.
well, Eric says it's almost like they get to teach the way they used to teach a long time ago.
Nice. Nice. Okay, so what's going to happen to the unions, both the public sector unions and the private sector unions?
Well, he said, you know, the union started to bring balance, you know, and stuff. And, you know, of course, that kind of gets a little mucky in there. But he says they're just not going to be as vocal as they were before. Like they'll be there. It's almost like a, what would you call it? A human resource division.
Yeah, I like
Or,
that. I mean, it used to be protecting the workers,
yeah.
child labor laws, all that kind of stuff. But now it's gotten to be like almost like an extortion racket. So that
Well, there's a
drives
lot
up
of fear in there.
prices, yeah, drives up prices
Mhm.
and makes good paying jobs go elsewhere. But
Erik says that a lot of that is shifting. A lot of that is, he's showing me it's shrinking. That kind of stuff is shrinking. So
good.
I just feel like the unions in that, they're, it's almost like they'll have a demotion.
Okay. Is this reset inevitable or will there be pushback or delays?
Erik says no pushback or delays.
Okay. Is it for our collective spiritual development, this whole great reset?
Erik says yes, definitely.
I
Of
think so,
course. This
too.
is what the collective consciousness has been working on for quite
Yeah.
a few decades that we've been pushing through.
Maybe it'll help us not focus so much on money and material possessions and start focusing on self and family and others and love and not be so competitive to sort of shift in from a contrast or survival of the fittest consciousness to one of unity and collaboration to survive. So that's what it seems right. It's like whole age of Aquarius thing coming into play here, I think.
Erik says yes, and it's, but we've been taught, we've been programmed
Okay.
to be greedy, like, oh, you're something because you got two rocks as opposed to the other person only has a little pebble. So that made you have more clout or look like you were more. So this is how we've been trained. And I guess he's using the rock to say that this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, and not making fun of anybody or bash anyone, but I notice I see people wearing these Louis Vuitton purses. They're the big ones, and they're not cheap. And it's like I would hear people when I worked outside of the home say, "Oh, but they have a Louis Vuitton purse," and it's like, so what is that? And
No,
it's
I
like,
mean, as a doctor, I've noticed that some of the most miserable people were the wealthy patients of mine,
yep.
you know. And
Erik
Annika,
says, "Look at Hollywood."
yeah, Annika went to do some charity clinic work in Peru, and she was just floored by most of them didn't have shoes. They were so poor, yet they were so happy and free. Their lives were so simple and beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
connected with nature instead of the big bucks. Um, what do aliens think about this whole Great Reset? Cool question.
Well, Erik says, there's some out there that are like, oh Lord, we're getting found out about, busted, and I feel like
Oh
they're
yeah,
the ones that, but then there's others who are, he's showing me smiling and very patient and very happy for us. Um, there's some that I feel like the way Erik is, they kind of have a smirk and laugh because we think, some of us think this is the worst thing that can happen when actually this is the best thing that's happening for us. And but Erik says for the most part, they're all just, it's like they're all just sending us love, they because they know what's going to happen, so they're all just like sending us love. That's how
what
he showed me.
connections Schwab have to this alien agenda? I
What
mean,
does, say that again? What does who?
what does Klaus Schwab have to? What connection does he have with the alien thinking perspective on this, if any? Does he have any?
Erik says people who are way up there know stuff.
Okay.
They know stuff.
All right.
They know it's not about Adam and Eve and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. They know stuff.
Now, his daughter, Nicole Schwab, is the founder of the Gender Equality Project. Is this a destabilizing I never heard of it, program, or is it her heart is in the place of helping others?
There's a genuine concern. There's something, and Erik's not going to tell me what it is.
Okay.
But there's a personal concern for having this.
Okay, so her heart's in the right place with this.
Yes.
Okay. Is the Great Reset some sort of distraction that's trying to distract us from a different plan that's hidden?
And Erik says this goes back to where you are with this. For some people, for some people it is a distraction. For some people, no, this is like, yes, this is part of the process to get us to where we know we can be. Okay. So it depends on where you are with this.
Okay. But I'm sure those who are fearful about it probably think that there's some other hidden agenda behind it.
Well, yeah, he says they're paranoid, and it's because they're not balanced, or they don't have any idea about, they don't know who they are, because they've been listening to everything on the outside. So now that they're having to go within, it's real scary, and it is scary. I mean, it can be
unknown.
Yeah.
Okay, how many of the young global leaders, Trudeau, Putin, Merkel, are placed in government to advance Klaus Schwab's agenda? Are there people who are purposely placed in there to, advance his agenda? Trudeau, Putin.
Erik says, he's telling me there's some people there that people think that are there for that, but they're not. They're
okay.
They're just, it's a camouflage, and Erik is not going to go in to say who it is,
okay,
or anything, because it's almost like undercover cops or something.
Okay. These economic times look quite different. Oh yeah, this is good. How long will this be? What areas of industry do you think will collapse forever for good?
Well, it's not that an area is going to collapse forever. It just depends, on what it is you're wanting, this is what Erik is saying. Some of the things that are going to collapse forever are these topless bars.
Oh, okay.
Those things.
Okay.
Because those are
misogynistic. I mean,
he's showing me those things are meant, those are like, it's like they help keep the frequency lowered.
Yeah. What about prostitution? Will that collapse?
Erik says we'll start seeing, maybe not collapsing all the way, but what's going to happen is that more people, men and women, are going to start realizing their worth.
Oh, good.
Because usually Erik says people who do that aren't doing it because it's fun.
Self-loathing. There's self-loathing. Yeah. Oh.
So that's going to shift, and that, yeah.
What about the military-industrial complex?
Erik said,
get us into wars and things like that.
Yeah, Erik says, well, that's going to shift too, and that's going to take a while, and all this other stuff. He makes me feel like 20 plus years or whatever, because there's so many different things tied up in the military. There's a lot about being patriotic, just a lot of that, and then just Erik's just showing me there's so much emotion tied up in that. So, there's nothing wrong with having a military, but it depends on, but it's about why we have a military. You can have, so the way he's showing me, it's about for support.
Yeah. Peace through
And
strength, basically.
yeah, yes.
Who's going to say, okay, I'm going to throw away all my weapons, but y'all do it too. You're right. I mean, there's a lot of mistrust too. You know,
Right. So
if I destroy my military, get rid of my military, then I'm helpless.
well, Eric says that would be kind of stupid, he said,
Yeah.
to do that.
We're not evolved that much.
Not yet, he says, but we are going to get there. He says, we are going to get there.
Okay.
So there will be things about that's going to kind of calm down, with that.
Okay.
Yeah, because the war doesn't, well, he's telling me to be quiet. We don't need to get into that because,
Okay.
yeah.
Go on. Do these elites who attend, I'm not sure what they're talking about, really care about the common man? Maybe they're talking about the World Economic Council. I'm not really sure. Maybe you know, Eric, what they mean.
He said, no, they don't care.
Most
You
of them
know,
don't, probably.
he says,
maybe.
you know, he says, if you take away all that other branding, like they've been branded so many different times about stuff,
Yeah.
and that there is a part of them that really is about love, he says.
Good.
But do they really care about our well-being? Erik says, of course they do, if it benefits them in a way.
Okay. What do you think about investing in cryptocurrency, Erik?
I said to him, yeah, Erik, what do you think? Because I get a lot of people asking me about this.
Yeah.
Erik says, it's still in the infant stage, an infancy stage. So he says, be don't put all your life savings into it.
Okay. Could be volatile still. Okay,
Yeah.
this person says, I'm afraid of losing what little I have managed to save for my expensive medical care, as I hadn't planned on having to stop work. Will we be okay? Those people are in that situation.
Erik says yes, because there's going to be a big shift in how on how we are how we have medical
Okay.
insurance or whatever it is about how we do things. Yes,
Okay.
because Erik says a lot of our medical stuff shouldn't be the cost that it cost.
Yeah. Oh, have you seen the interior of these hospitals? I mean, they're so expensive. There's so much expense. So no wonder you had to pay $20 for a Tylenol. It's ludicrous. It's not
Yeah.
the conditions are not the one. It's mostly, the
Administration, he's shown.
yeah, the hospitals and the MRIs and all that kind of stuff. It shouldn't be that expensive. Is the Great Reset really communism? Someone wants to know.
Erik says no, but if you believe it is, then yes. It all is where your belief system is.
Yeah. Well, the same person wants to know, where is the safest place to live in the world to avoid it, if possible? Switzerland?
Erik says it doesn't matter where you go, it's about your belief system, because that is what you bring with you. Whatever your belief system is, that is what you bring with you. So if you believe that there's nothing but prosperity and blue skies and friendly people, that's what you're going to bring with you, no matter where you are.
Okay. Now, these next few, we're almost finished actually, have to do with the Georgia Guidestones. They had that writing, the writing of the Georgia Guidestones. Is that kind of a guide for the Great Reset?
He smiles and he says, there's definitely a connection there.
Okay. Are they trying to kill us off, depopulation? Because it says something about that,
Erik says that's kind of like in code or whatever, but he says, there is some truth to about making the population a little bit smaller. There is some truth to that, but Erik says it's not with that. It's just, but whatever it is that whoever it is about depopulating us and that, it's not working like they thought.
Okay. Who's they?
The people who think they're in control of
Oh, I
everything.
got you. Oh, in
Mhm.
what way is it not working like they thought?
Well, for Erik says for every 100 people that are dying, there's 200 more that are out living.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They're learning how to heal themselves.
Oh,
They're taking care of themselves. We're living longer.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Do we know who wrote them? And what end are they to achieve? The identity of the author is hard to determine. And I think it was intended to be that way, this person writes. So, or does it even make any difference, the identity?
Erik says no, it just gives us something to obsess on, like trying to figure out everything. He says we really have everything already figured out. It's just that we don't believe that we do.
Oh, wow. Well, is it a group, an individual, individual, female, male?
I feel like it's a consciousness, like an energy, like a consciousness or
Oh,
something.
so maybe
Yeah.
it's not even humans that did that. Maybe the energy of the collective consciousness created the gravestone.
It's like a small collective consciousness or whatever. But I
Oh,
feel like it was done to like shake us up, wake us up.
okay, good.
It's like, whoa, where'd this come from or something?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I don't even know what they are, to be honest with you.
Is it related to aliens? Did aliens create it and lower it to the earth?
Well, Erik says we're all aliens, so he said yes.
Okay, but aliens from elsewhere, from another planet, plop this down. Let me show you a picture of it. But while you
I don't. Erik shows me no, because I feel like there was like um, humans, us, like people like us involved in it.
what did those humans channel from aliens or spirit or something like that? Oops.
Erik said yes, they did channel. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So here, and they have inscriptions on this.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, last question. Could Eric please tell us when he sees the current inflation challenge easing off and what might cause that to ease off? Could it be the big natural cosmological event at the end of a cycle that so many predict?
Well, Erik says there is something about the prediction, and you know, even though things keep going, but things keep going up, it's really starting to come down.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're going to see it, but it's not going to be the same way like it did, say, back in 2008 here, or back in the 70s or the 80s, whenever that was, or something. Erik says it's going to be a little different. And it's because we've learned something from some of those times.
Good.
So, it's like it's not going to be such a dip. It's like, yes, there will be a dip, but it's not going to be nosedive. And then we'll be like
Okay.
able to flow. Yeah.
Okay. You mean the dip in prices, the inflation rate will go down?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it will go down, but it's not like we're going to like lose everything. It's almost like it's just going to be more smoothly done the way it's showing.
Soft landing, so to speak, like we talked about.
Yeah, because the way he's showing me how it's going to go, and he says, for some people it's going to freak out because it's going to go down, their money goes down, because
Oh,
what
yeah.
they've been making isn't going to be making anymore.
Yeah,
And
right.
so, because there's some people who don't want it, they want it to be where it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah,
but
I
he's
guess then the interest rates, if they have a savings accounts and stuff, yeah, that helps people who rely on it.
well, and he says it's going to be. He says it's going to be good. He says the thing is not to get into that panic mode, not to feel like it's the end of the world, because he says there is not going to be an end
That's
of the
my
world.
my husband's favorite. He says, I don't manage people's money. I manage their minds. He said he very often tells them panic is not a sound investment strategy. And that is so true. So,
Erik says 100%, 100%. And that, yeah.
So will there, I guess the main thing is, will there be some mass or quasi mass depopulation event that will make our inflation rate go back to really low levels?
Depopulation where people are dying, as you're saying?
I just like, well, I mean, it sounds like there's some cataclysm cycle of like, I don't know, it's 28,000, 25,800 years, etc. And it just wipes off masses of people off the earth. Like a huge, like Noah's flood kind of stuff.
Erik says we don't need that rude awakening again.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah.
We don't need that. And he says, no, we don't need that rude awakening, because there's too many of us who are really awake.
Yeah, you don't want to waste us. All right. Anything else you want to share, Erik, before we close?
You know, Erik says, be mindful of where your thoughts are, where you put your thoughts, what you're focusing on. And he says, our minds are like magnets. He goes, what we focus on, we draw that to us. He said, so it's really
creates
important.
reality, people. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and when he says it like that, I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's like a magnet. So be careful where your thoughts are.
Yeah.
And because that's what you bring to you. He says, it may not come to you today, but it can come to you a month from now. So be mindful of where your thoughts go.
Live life in love, not fear, people. All right, you guys check out Denise Ramon at deniseramon.com, and also check out the Channeling Erik website, www.channelingerik.com, Erik with a K, and also the AtlantisScalar.com for energy healing. Scalar energy from Nikola Tesla. All right, I love you all. Love you, Denise. Glad to have
Love you too, Erik.
Love you, Erik.
Thank you. Erik says, I love you, Mom. I love you.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.